Hello from Sweden, and welcome to Everyday Mystic, an aid to your liberation. My name is David, and I hope that you're feeling well and that you're having a good day. Now, what I want to talk about in this video is that on a few occasions, I've had experiences of what I would call a oneness. And I'm not going to go into detail exactly about what this means, but essentially I've been shown that we are all parts of God's infinite consciousness that expresses itself individually through us. I am not the only one that have had these experiences, but I'm going to talk a little bit today of the conclusions that I have drawn from them, and maybe more importantly, what I still think is important to leave open. What this means is that as we are all parts of God's infinite consciousness, we also share a fundamental unity with each other. And in essence, we are all here to be loved by God and to love God. And thus it follows that we are also here to love each other, since we're all part of God. And now I'm going to give you a provoking statement, and I know that this is provoking, as I say, and it is that everything in the world, the good, the bad, and the ugly, are expressions of God's love. Now, this does not mean that everything should be as it is as always, because somehow I also believe that there is a fundamental brokenness in the fabric of reality. But I believe that this brokenness truly is going to be corrected in our lifetime. This is also something that I've seen very clearly on several occasions. I have felt how things have shifted within me. How pain has been turned into free-flowing love energy. How things that I've felt hopelessness about suddenly have started to turn into something else. Something good. And I truly believe that God can create something good out of everything. Even our broken and, in Christian terminology, fallen world. Everything eventually can be turned into something good. There is no punishment. There is no guilt or shame. There are only insane, broken people that do things that insane, broken people do. And now I know that there are horrible things out in the world. So I'm not saying this to trivialize anything. In many ways, I know it better than many people because I've explored a lot of darkness in my life, and I've also had a lot of pain in my life in the past. I lost my mother at a young age, I've experienced a lot of bullying, and several of my friends have died during my troublesome years in my past. I know that there are a lot of people that have suffered a lot of worse things, and I know that some of my suffering I brought on myself as well. And also I know that I've caused a lot of suffering out in the world. So I'm not saying that I can understand every person in the world, but, and this was something that was shown to me in my last experience, that everything in the world, as I said, is an expression of God's love. And to understand this a little better, we need to apply an eternity perspective on it. And also we need to apply the eternity perspective that is free from punishment, free from guilt, free from shame. We do things that hurt others because we are broken. We might be so broken that we cannot feel anything. We might be so broken that we have turned psychopathic. And maybe some individuals have gone so far in this lifetime that in this lifetime there is no way for them to be redeemed. I don't know this. There might be this might be the case, but I am absolutely certain that there will be other chances. I don't know the depth that a person can fall to, but I know some of it because I fell quite deep myself. So I know darkness. I know some pain. I know what it means to actively seeking out very dark things. I know some of what drives this. I know some about this brokenness. And yet, I could turn around. I could start to live for something higher. And actually, in the beginning, I was a bit afraid of punishment. I went into, for a while, some rather mainstream Christianity, and I still have a big affinity for Jesus, actually. And maybe the fear of punishment was something that I actually needed in the beginning, to not go off and do all of these things that I did before. But I think also that a part of adulthood, a part of growing up, is that we realize that we can do things for the betterment of ourselves and for others without needing to fear anything happening to us because if we wouldn't. So this is what I believe, that we will eventually live forever. Nothing is really truly broken. This is just the ego. This is just our faulty programming. This is just surface level. At the core, we are one with God, and thus we are in essence divine beings. Divine, pure, beautiful beings that are therefore made in the image of God. So, this is a little about perspective. And I think perspective is very important. Because when we have the right perspective, we will also have a better discernment when it comes to our choices. And this is not about being perfect at anything. On the contrary, we are allowed to be as failed as we want to be. We are allowed to make as many mistakes as we want to be. God loves us and forgives us anyway. But when we know that there is a fundamental meaning to this life, when we know why we are here, which is to just be loved by God, and love all of our fellow human beings, we can start living from this perspective. This does not mean that everything falls into place at once. No, not at all. We have to think consciously about what this perspective means in every given moment. But we can also start thinking of what things are really unnecessary when we know this. We don't need to grab on to every little pleasure that we can get our hands on. We don't need to gather a lot of money and belongings. We might do this as long as we do it in an honest manner. There is nothing wrong with any of this. But we don't need to do it at the cost of anyone else. We don't need to do it in a way that is dishonest and hurtful. Because ultimately we are going to leave all of it behind. But what we take with us is the character that we develop throughout this lifetime. I don't know if it will continue exactly the way that we left it when we died. But in some way, I think that we will eventually take with us the experiences and what we have learned from them. So, if we've learned a lot of wrongful things, there might also be a lot of unlearning. And this might actually be where there comes in some a little more painful consequences. I don't know this. But there seems to be, at least in this life, the more mistakes that we make, the more painful it usually becomes to correct them. So, when we have learned that essentially we are always loved by God, and we are here to love God and to love each other, and that we share an essential oneness both with God and with everyone else. We are free to do anything. We don't have to do anything to earn God's love, and we don't even have to avoid doing anything to earn God's love. It is freely given. You can do whatever you feel called to do because you want to. But here comes an interesting and important question. What do you really feel called to do? Is it gather as many belongings as possible? Is it to indulge in the reproductive instinct? Is it to sit and look at things that are disgraceful on the internet? Or would you actually more like to be useful to others? Would you like to build yourself up without beating yourself up because of your failures? Maybe you would like to discipline yourself a little bit so that you can actually reach your goals in a manner that will make you a good member of the human family. Do you want to become a person that has a positive impact on other people? Maybe you also want to learn a bit about how things work. Maybe you want to do this because if you know a little bit about yourself and how you function and how you can relate to the world around you, you will have an easier time to actually be this kind of person. To express God's love in a good manner, in a manner that will actually be helpful to other people, and that will actually build you up in the process. Because, and this is something that I want you to make no mistake about, we are living in very special times. You are completely free if you want to make something of this or not. You can choose to just continue to engage in useless pursuits in the material 3D reality, or you can actually choose to align yourself with this process that is happening on the planet right now. And I want to stress this, that we don't know all the answers to this. I don't want to draw too many conclusions from this. As I said, we are all one with God and with each other, and we are here to love God and to be loved by God. But what kinds of conclusions we actually draw from this is something that we have to figure out for ourselves. There are, and I've hinted at this throughout the video, some things that probably are not in alignment with this, and there are some things that probably are in alignment with this. But what is your actual purpose and God's purpose for you being here is something that you will have to find out for yourself. We don't know what lies ahead of us, but something that we can know for sure is that we are in this together. And the more people that wake up and align themselves with this, the stronger we grow as a collective. If I'm going to speculate a little bit, I do believe that a lot of people will quite soon actually come together and form independent communities that are not dependent on the majority culture and the mainstream society. Because we see a lot of structures falling apart right now. And we see a lot of corruption and all of the rest of it that you see around you with the control and tyrannizing and all of these things. You see all of this very openly today if you start to wake up, and if you both wake up spiritually and wake up to the state of the world. But we don't know exactly what this is yet. Some people seem to have more of a clue than others, but we can right here, right now, in the present moment, in the experience that we have right in front of us, make choices that align ourselves more with what is happening. And we don't need to have all of the answers to do this. Now, I want to get back to the idea of punishment a little bit, because a lot of people seem to want to cling on to punishment. A lot of people seem to think that, oh, so now I can just go out and do whatever I want if I'm not going to get punished by God for it. And what about these really terrible figures in history? Aren't they going to get punished? If I'm going to guess, because I don't believe anyone ultimately will be punished, at least not for eternity, but there might be consequences. Some people might be very down into darkness, and there might take a lot, which might not be very pleasant, to pull them up from there. I don't know. But my point is that, are you really going to go out and do a lot of stupid stuff just because you know that there are no ultimate consequences from it? Because you know that you are not going to get punished for it? Are you going to go out and engage in meaningless destructive behavior? Or are you going to go out and engage in meaningful constructive behavior? Are you going to choose negative or positive emotions to drive you in the world? These are choices that you have to make. So, you've been given the greatest gift that you could imagine. Eternal life together with a loving God that only wants to love you and give you the best. Would you only value and treasure that gift and express gratitude for that gift if you know that you will get punished if you don't? And that's it for today. If you like this video, leave a like, leave a comment, and share the video on social media and other places. All of it helps the channel to grow. And if you haven't done it already, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so YouTube always notifies you of new videos. And check out the description and the comment section for other things that me and my wife are doing. And other than that, just sincerely thank you for your time.